Welcome back. Today we're going to look through the three A1200s I have. I'm actually going to do a bit of a triage because I need to know which has the most reliable motherboard to use, which has the nicest keyboard, because I know for a fact that one of them has a mashed spacebar in the keyboard, and the third bit is to make sure that I've got a nice white case. Number one. Well, this is the third one, and since the third one is already plugged in, I'm not going to go through the rigmarole putting it all back in here just for show. So we've got the polycaps and the bag it came in. I'm assuming it's the bag it came in. I keep seeing all kinds of different bags for these, but there they are. We have a host of audio leads and an RF lead. In this box at the back there is the modulator. Now that's an A500 modulator, so I think they probably broke that from a previous kit, previous machine, and chucked it in here. It's not really required for the A1200. This also came with the power supply I'm currently using, so I know that works. But I'm not sure that's the original power supply for this either. It looks a bit different from what I'd expect an A1200 one to be. Anyway, we've got various manuals and bags under here. Let's have a look at the first lot. Stop. Amiga Workbench discs, and funnily enough, Amiga Extras 1.3, when everything else appears to be 3.0. So make of that what you will. I guess you could say I've got a complete kit. I'm just wondering which one's missing. We've got fonts, extras, workbench, storage, locale, and an extra. So there we go. What's in here? This is a bag of manuals of sorts. Oh, license agreement, limited warranty, some kind of user guide. Interesting stuff. Oh, hello, an actual warranty envelope. I haven't seen one of these before. An actual Commodore warranty. And we have the original addressee all in there. I won't show the details just for privacy reasons, but yeah, it's the first time I've seen one of those. Put that back in there. And then we have, but this is more. Ah yes, software compatibility, safety notices. Is it fonts I'm missing? Possibly. There's the compatibility list. Let's go a bit closer for this. There we are. What else have we got? Playing the piano, interesting. A1200 user guide, the classic how to plug it in, what you can do with it, connection guide, and of course the Workbench 3.0 manual. The eagle-eyed amongst you may have seen a flashy yellow underneath them. What do we have? Interesting, Ferrari Formula 1 by EA, or Electronic Arts as they used to go by. That's a game I've never played. I played Formula 1 Grand Prix quite a lot in my youth, but never this, because I had Formula 1 Grand Prix. But I will certainly give that a go. Oh yeah, pardon my excitement, but F-18 Interceptor was one of the first games that I actually received with our A500 back in the day, and many an hours was spent, well, rotating the code wheel to try and load the game. I honestly didn't think that worked on the A1200, so I'm surprised to see it in here. I'll have to give that a go too. Powerdrome. This is Wipeout before Wipeout, or as the legend shows at the top, Ben-Hur in the 25th century, which to me just sounds like a Partridgeism, an Alan Partridge film idea. These are all games I want to give a try, but I'm conscious that these packs, these yellow boxed packs, they were all around during the 500 era, so it'll be interesting to see if I can. This is the A1200 from box number 1. As you can see, we've got a bit of yellowing on that keyboard. I mean, I don't think we're very far from jaundice, are we? That seems to be right across it on all of the white caps, so that's not the nicest keyboard to use. But the case itself is also quite yellow, but it boots. If we take a look at the screen, it's there, it's displaying, which is really all we could hope for. There is some vertical banding. I'm unsure whether that's as a result of the monitor, the Amiga, or the cable in between, but I think that's definitely something he's looking into. I might try plugging some other things into the monitor just to make sure it's not the monitor, and see whether or not we can fix it. Number 2. Let's get into this box. Right, now this is the one that was wrapped up very nicely in my first video, so let's see what we have. You can see the 1200 peeking out underneath there. One of the polystyrene blocks is broken, the other isn't. We've also got a ton of stuff in a box here, but let's go with this this wedge which was on top of the box. I'm so surprised this sellotape is still as strong as it is, considering how long it's probably been on here. I bought these Amigas quite a few years back. Yeah, the sellotape still doesn't want to let go. This is where I find out I've got a nice mouse, isn't it? Oh look, it's the original mouse. Yeah, I mean it says Amiga 600 on the bottom, but that's your usual Commodore mouse for Amigas. I think a laser mouse is going to be better. This certainly feels heftier than the Amiga kit one I've bought, but it's got a ball and that's going to gum up as mouse balls do. Be good to give that a go, see if it still works though. Also appear to have another RF cable. It's not really of much use to me, but I've got another one. Right, so this 1200. Let's see what it's like. Right, there's machine number 2. Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking this is actually looking quite clean. The keyboard has yellowed. It's got a bit of a tilt on it as well on the space bar, but curiously it only seems to have yellowed on these rows here. The one key on the numeric keyboard and the left, up and down keys on the keyboard. They're actually oddly placed. I'm not really sure. I never remember them being in such a fashion. Let's see if we can focus a bit better here so you can see what I mean. So So this is kind of up, this one's to the right, this one's leaning left, and this one's kind of funnily to the left as well. Not sure whether that's apparent on the video. I've never noticed that before with Amiga keyboards. I will have to check other ones, but that's looking like quite a nice case. Let's see what's in the box at the bottom. Yeah, it's a power supply, isn't it? I won't open it up completely. There's a power supply, a hefty tome of a power supply, but nothing else in that box. I've got a power supply out already, which I will continue to use until it decides to give up the ghost, as one already has on me. I know I can get replacement power supplies from reliable online Amiga vendors. So that's always an option. Right, what's under the 1200? Is this what I think it is? Yes, it's a Amiga disc, system disc wallet with locale fonts, workbench, extras and storage. What does this appear to be? Can't get hold of it. It's a Canon printer driver for all Canon TDP printers, November '93. And look at that, an actual Canon floppy disk as well. Well, Canon, you're being filmed on a Panasonic Lumix. Right, what else have we got? Workbench manual and a 1200 manual. Nothing else in there. That's don't really mind, but quite an empty box otherwise. Let's check the machine out. Now this is a base A1200. There's no expansion card in there at all. I believe this is the machine that I had plugged in the first time round, where it basically brought up a boot screen, you insert this screen, and then disappeared into tons of artifacts. My hope is that it's nothing too serious, so I'm going to plug it in again and see what happens. Obviously it's got a different power supply into it this time, so whether that has any effect I won't know, but let's switch it on. So we've got power. So we've got the tick tick of the disk drive. We've got a screen up. And nothing's happening. Now, last time it kind of disappeared into artifacts after probably about 30 seconds. So I'm going to bung in a disk and see whether or not it loads. Let's give Banshee a try. Got disk activity at least? Excellent. Let's get some audio on as well. We want to know whether that works, don't we? Now let me find the second disc. Well, looks like it works to me. Let's see if we can skip this and get to a game mode. Core design. Core, of course, will go on to publish Tomb Raider on the PlayStation 1. But in the late 80s, 90s, they primarily produced Amiga games. Banshee, I think, was one of their last. Now, I'm kind of playing this one-handed, so you'll have to excuse any badness on my part. Or the disk drive's moved up to a louder chug chug. That's got to mean good stuff's about to happen. This is a 1942 kind of style game. Got a bit of a health meter, so you can take multiple hits. And like I said, I'm playing this one-handed, so please excuse my rubbishness. Why didn't I set a tripod up? Anyway, we know it works, the audio works, the graphics work. Still a bit concerned that this is the one that went a bit iffy, but I guess I'll keep an eye on it. Right, let's switch it off. Number 3. Right, so this is another one with the pink bag on it. Both polycats, both quite well in there. What have we got? Now that is a proper A1200 power supply, that is. And then we've got SCART to RGB adapter. No mouse or joystick in here that I can see. I think that might just be a silicon gel. Ancient silica gel. Let's get this machine out of here. Whoa! So, there's the beauty. And this one's got quite a yellow keyboard on it, all the way across. All keys seem to function fine. There's a bit of dirt on them, but the case itself is, well, it's a bit dusty. But that is quite nice and white. Now, I believe this is the one that's got the Blizzard 1230 in, so we'll open up that expansion and take it out, because this is the machine that I tried in the earlier video, where all it went to was a grey screen when switched on. Hopefully it's not the Blizzard 1230 preventing that. I did try switching it off using the 2 key, but it still resulted in a grey screen. Let's pop that cover off and get it out. Now, a nice little discovery I've just made is I've always used screwdrivers to get into these things, and as you can see, it's they tend to muck up the plastic on there. But a penny coin, you know, sterling, will get us in there quite nicely. I'm also looking at the bottom of this machine, and there are a number of screws missing. So I'm not sure how this lid is still on, but let's take that off. Ah, there she is again. It's good to see you, Blizzard. Let's pop her out. You know, you never really get an appreciation for just how tightly these things fit in there. This is a beautiful card. I'm looking at it. I'm trying to see if there's any obvious issues on it. Now, the some of the chips get quite warm on it in operation, so you can see the stickers that are on top of them have wilted slightly. But otherwise, it looks okay. And this provided a valuable boost in speed over not just a base A1200, but an A1200 with fast RAM. Adding that 030 processor just the A1200 took off. It's the machine it was supposed to be, I've always felt. But I guess the economies of scale at the time didn't allow a 50 megahertz 030 processor to be put in a mass-produced desktop machine as such, or at least the Amiga, because obviously the Atari Falcon, I think, ended up with an 030 at some point, and the I think RISC-OS machines had quite powerful CPUs in them too. This has got the FPU on it as well. We added that at a later stage when we became quite interested in 3D ray tracing with Cinema 4D, and again, that really changed how quickly renders finished, like orders of magnitude. Really made a difference. Now I can't see anything obviously wrong with that, but I'm going to put this aside for now, plug this 1200 back in, and we'll see whether or not it boots properly. Switch her on and see what happens. Nothing's happening, is it? Okay, let's switch it off and open up the case. We'll see whether or not there's any indications on the motherboard as to what might have occurred with this. This is a Rev 1B A1200 motherboard. Doesn't have the wire trailing away from one of the joy ports, unlike some of the later revisions. There's the floppy port. This here is the clock port, just next to the ROMs there. And we've got some custom chips again. PCMCI slot over here. These are the video output ports and serial and parallel, etc. This over here is the IDE port. This is where you plug in your hard drive, or what we can now do is put in CF cards or SD cards instead, so it's something I might look forward to doing in the future. This here is the main processor. That's the CPU for the A1200, a Motorola 68020. Now I can't see any bulging caps, although this one over here does seem to be a bit skew-if. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be like that, so that's something to maybe get looked at. I'm not going to poke it in case I make it worse, but I've already contacted a company who may be able to fix some of these boards. Knowing how old they are, capacitors have a habit of basically leaking the electrolyte within them, which can then get onto the board and cause damage to the motherboard. And obviously if the capacitors have gone pop as well, then they're not doing the job they're supposed to be doing either. You also see I've left the keyboard ribbon in, because they're always such a pain to get back in if you manage to accidentally pop them out. You can also see here, this is a factory made fix. Not exactly sure what for, but clearly it sorts out some kind of imperfection in the trace. And that expansion port also looks very clean, so I don't think there's any issue between the A1200 and the Blizzard. I'm actually going to plug that Blizzard into something else. We'll see whether or not she still functions, because I'd be quite upset if that was broken. So this is the second working A1200. I've put the Blizzard in. You can just see my tools at the side there, and we're going to switch it on and see what happens. No signal detected. Well, that's good, isn't it? Bear in mind, this is the Amiga 1200, which when I plugged it in for the first video gave me a bit of a garbled screen and then just disappeared into artifacts. The scan doubler actually has a green light on it, which says that there's a signal going through, but nothing's coming through to the screen. Let's hold down the 2 key and see whether or not we can disable the Blizzard and see whether it boots. 2 key held down and on again. You see we're getting a grey screen again, not just black. I think it's grey. If I'm honest with you, I'm not really sure what's coming through on this monitor sometimes. The video signal looks clean. I mean, there's no wavy lines or anything on it, but it's not giving me anything. And bear in mind, this is the A1200 that in the first video just went to artifacts, so who knows what it's doing. I'm going to switch it off. The Blizzard can come out and go into the first 1200 I had plugged in. The one that I actually had on the desk working, because I ideally want that to work. So, why didn't you work? This is the Rev 1D4 machine with the ribbon to the game port. Various testing stickers across it as well. Try and get this in focus, that will help. There's no joining cable on this one like the other one I looked at. And I'm also seeing all pins on the IDE port. These are MX manufactured ROM chips in the middle there. And also the clock port on this one is actually truncated. You see that? Apparently that's all that's required for the clock, so it's a cost saving measure. I'm not seeing any caps or anything that looks swollen on this one. Nothing seems out of place. Now that slightly concerns me. There's nothing visibly wrong, but clearly it's not booting with or without an expansion card in it. So I think this is just going to have to go away for repair, and hopefully whoever looks at it can diagnose the issues with the machine. Let's close it back up. Well, third machine. This is the one that I've had plugged in for a while now. I know it works, so I've put the Blizzard in here and we're going to see whether or not it functions. Now here we have the 1200 all plugged in, ready to go. Please work. Power on. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Sorry you had to see that face. I'm just happy that's got a boot screen with the Blizzard plugged in. What I'm going to do now is reboot it with the old mouse buttons held down, just so we can see the expansion information in the early boot screen. So down here you go. Mouse comes round. Okay, I'm holding the mouse buttons down. There we are. So, yeah, board number 1, manufacturer 8512. I'm guessing that translates to phase 5. Product number 17. Status working. Glory be to autoconfig. Now I've got to dig out something that'll actually utilise the Blizzard, haven't I? Let me have a think. Now I've just inserted a disk for Blitz Basic. The only reason I've done that is because it will give me a quick workbench screen. It's the nearest system disk to hand. So let's see what happens. It should load fine. I mean, the disk booted last time okay. There we have it. "16 meg in there then." You see, by putting fast RAM in there, the graphics memory dramatically increases. I mean, if there was no fast memory in there, that chip RAM would be would have 19 at the beginning instead of 20. So I'm happy that it's at least produced some. Right, let's switch this off and try and find a game. Now, which of these games should work with the A1200, and above all, an expanded A1200 with Blizzard 1230 accelerator in? Well, probably none of them, because they were designed for the A500. So let's chuck those aside and put in Alien Breed 3D. Power on. In goes disc 1 for Alien Breed 3D. And that was me dropping a screwdriver. Got to give it to Team 17, that was a good piece of artwork. Can't expect things like that with the multi-million pound budgets going to games these days, but they did not have those funds available to them in this case the mid-90s. I knew you should have had that to hand. I don't miss this in modern gaming. But at least these games didn't patch every 5 minutes. And even if they did, I mean, there's two 880k discs in the box. So, I mean, what would the size to patch be? Ah! Let me try and find the manual. There was a black page that was supplied with Alien Breed 3D, and it had a whole table of codes on it. And I don't have that anymore. When I put my Amigas away, I mistakenly sold a lot of stuff, including probably 3 or 4 disc boxes, the clear plastic ones that were absolutely full of cover discs, save games, copy discs, all of that type of stuff. And I expect I also got rid of a load of paperwork that is pretty much now essential. We're going to have to try something different, aren't we? Unless I can dig the answer out online. Now, my internet detective skills tell me that the answer to this is 710. I'm going to give it a go. Well, the numeric keypad doesn't work there. Interestingly enough, power light just flickered, and I haven't seen one in years. They're no less welcome. Interesting. I'm going to have to put disc 1 back in then, and we'll have a different code to put in, won't we? Now, I've just found a load of manuals in a box. Oh, black. Oh, hello. The code table I found online was for the CD32 version. You can just about see the text on this, which obviously means you can't photocopy it. So I'm going to try it again. I'm kind of thinking that if you put in the wrong code, Team 17 saw fit to reboot the machine and force a software failure on it. So we'll try that. Table F. I can barely see this. Table F, row 1, column B, 442. Right. So here we are in the title screen. I'm not going to do much with the options because I'm probably just going to go into mouse mode. So we leave that as is. But let's go. Okay, so the keyboard controls, they're just mapped to the cursor keys at the moment. I'm going to hit the M key. There we go. Now, mouse works a bit differently from other Doom clones in that you push forward and move the mouse back in order to move. So you may hear me clattering around on the mouse quite a bit, but it does mean that you can like run like a maniac sometimes. Ha ha ha. I still remember the shortcuts. And I already have the shotgun. Lovely. Oh, the howls. I do like the explosions in this, and there's something to be said for just how messy. Switch to shotgun. Just how messy the deaths are in this. Yeah. I knew I should have stuck with that. As you can see, it runs very nicely on an expanded A1200. It was developed to run on a 2 megabyte A1200, so there's one down there. So things were cut back in order to get that working. There's a lift. So when you put in more memory in a bigger, faster processor, then things really kick off. Ah! Oh, there's another one there. We cannot let them live. Right, now I can't go that way. I've got the blue key. Oh yeah, there's some soldier aliens in here as well, up there. Let's have that health. See, you really can sprint around quite a bit when you've got this mouse control. I think my memory of this level is quite impressive considering the intervening years. Ah, if you miss with that first shot, they will get you every time. And that's the first level of Alien Breed 3D on the Amiga 1200. And in this instance, an accelerated Amiga 1200 that I'm incredibly happy with. I think it's immediately obvious that hardware kept unplugged in and in boxes for a number of years developed faults. It's just a matter of old electronics and what happens to them. I'm glad I finally managed to pick out the best of the worst, if you will. It might be the yellowest Amiga still, but I don't really fancy swapping over cases and keyboards just yet because I know it works. I'm going to keep it as it is. This is my A1200 now. I may look into buying a replacement case because I know they're available, but we'll just keep things the way they are for now, I think. Something nice and stable. Thanks for watching. Check up in the future for more videos. I do hope to upgrade this A1200 further. The original idea was to put a hard drive in there, but obviously other options are available now with solid state memory card based hardware storage solutions. So we'll look into those. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to play this.